This video contains spoilers for RRR. God, I wish I'd start getting advance notice for these. I wanted to talk about this movie for a hot minute, and I'm shocked that it took me this long to realize that one musical scene is probably the perfect means of doing so. I don't know jack about music in a vacuum, but I can certainly talk about how it plays into narrative, and RRR is a very musical movie. Not quite to the point that I'd consider it a musical by genre, but honestly it's not far off. Many of the film's biggest emotional moments and turning points are sung through by the characters, or accompanied by a non-diegetic chorus. If I so chose, I could make this video about Molly's song, or Beam's song of comfort, the whipping scene, or the friendship montage, or the Rama Bhima action climax. But I think it's the Naacho dance sequence that lies at the heart of music's role in the film. The briefest of contexts is that our protagonists, Ram and Beam, aka Akhtar, arrive at a wealthy English party, only for one of the attendees by the name of Jake to deliberately trip Akhtar up during a waltz with his love interest Jenny. The whole party stops dead as Jake goes on a ridiculously racist tirade, and despite him being a literal ubermensch, Akhtar's confidence seems genuinely shaken. In this social situation, none of his amazing strength or dexterity is of use when met with Jake's aggressive mockery and public shaming. Before he can resign himself to the cringe, though, Ram swoops in with a sick beat. In this movie about revolting against British rule, this scene sets up a microcosm of the entire conflict. Music and dance are some of the most ubiquitous aspects of any culture, and in the lead up here, Jake attempts to ignorantly claim swing, tango, and flamenco in the name of white Britain. Even without the on-the-nose black guy reaction shot, the text is clear. This dance, this petty bullying, is just another facet of the British imperialist cultural parasite. Ram and Akhtar showing up Jake with a style of dance he's never heard of and thus can't claim is like the ultimate foreshadowing for the climax of the film. These two planting an untouchable flag of Indian cultural pride through sheer feats of awesome. The dance itself is immaculately performed by Charan and Rama Jr. Much like the characters they're portraying, here's two men that are just going nuts in a display of over-the-top physical ability that's so joyous and infectious that I can't imagine a single person sitting down and watching this scene without the urge to jump up and dance themselves. Case in point, the English ladies and gents gathered at the party hop in on the action. And while there's a definite sense of competition from the men in the equation, particularly Jake, you can't help but also feel the underlying sense of minute camaraderie. Like all of these guys who have no clue about the cultural subtext are just letting themselves have fun in unanimous agreement that this is the best party that any of them have ever been to. For lack of a better word, it's very sportsmanlike after a very unsportsmanlike display from Jake. Key to why everything in RRR works is that this movie does not do anything by halves. Its action is some of the most over-the-top spectacle that you will ever see, but when it becomes a rom-com for about 20 minutes, a third of the way through the film, it commits as hard as possible to be the rom-commiest rom-com that you've ever witnessed. There's no irony, no half measures. Every emotion is played as straight as possible. And that commitment to sincerity in its tone is vital, as this movie lives and dies on the doomed friendship of its two leads. And while every moment between Ram and Akhtar conveys wonderfully sincere friendship that you dread turning sour, there's always just a bit of dissonance given that the audience knows going in that they're both on completely opposite sides. We're introduced to Ram as basically a bootlicking race traitor after all. And since he and Akhtar are both lying to each other about their goals and identities, the audience might let that untruth undermine the reality of their friendship. After this scene, though, after this bit of bombastic bromance, there's no denying that even under all the lies, these two are homies of the century. This dance is an S-tier, one-of-a-kind sequence in a vacuum, but it also underscores all of the movie's central themes in an incredibly clever way, and is in many ways the linchpin of the movie's anchoring relationship. Not bad for one musical scene. But what do you think, both about the scene and about this video? Have you even seen this movie? And if not, What's wrong with you? Fix that. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the future.
Disgusting. This is filthy.